Recording.
Hi. Yes. Hi. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Fine, how are you? It's so good to see you, finally.
Yeah. It's such a pleasure to meet you, So, friends, today I am in conversation with author Renee D Schultz. Hello, Renee, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this show of mine. Can you please tell something about yourself and how you got where you are today as an author?
Okay, it was really interesting. How I got here was I started internet dating about 12 years or 13 years ago, and I had such funny stories to tell people. And they said to me, write them down. And I thought, no, okay, I'll write them down. And I did. And about 8-9 years ago, I published a book, and I was with a publishing company, and the book was like doing crazy good. And then all of a sudden, the publishing company went bankrupt. And so then I decided, well, you know what? I had so much fun doing that. I'm going to write fiction. I really love fiction. And so I started writing my first book about 10 years ago. And I wrote Done Deal. And I sat on it. And I thought, I'm not going to do a publishing company again because it was an awful, awful experience. And so then I wrote Bishop Street. And then I was in the middle of a third one. And about a year and a half ago, I just happened to go onto Facebook, and I went into this room that I had no clue who was in that room, and they were two European ladies from Britain, UK ladies, and they were reviewers of books. And so they said, do you have a book? And I went, well, I have a few of them, but I haven't thought of publishing them. I had such a bad experience. And they said, well, let us read your book. And I said, okay, you can do that. You can read the book. And so I sent it to them, and then I got a note back like a day later. They loved the book. And I said, really? And they go, you need to publish this. So I thought, okay, I'll look for an editor and I'll publish it. And I did. And then they asked for my second book and then my third book. And so they've been my go-to ladies that I go to. After I've written each book, I send them the book, and they say, they give me a critique of it. Anyway, yes.
So are they just reviewers or are they your publishers?
No, they're just reviewers. I self-published myself.
I see.
I self-published myself because I had such a problem the first time I published with a publishing house. And so I didn't want to go through that again. I love to write.
So, Renee, what publishing platform do you use to publish books? Do you do ebooks on Kindle or Nook, or where do you publish it?
I publish it through Kindle.
I see.
And then I published it on Nook. And then I went to Create a Space, and they did it in paper.
I see. Okay. So please tell about your books, and is there a message in your books that you want readers to grasp?
Yes. I write what I call reality fiction. And they're true-to-life stories as much as you can imagine them without being nonfiction. And they're about people that go through circumstances in their lives that change their lives forever. Okay? And so, and they talk, and I give you that amazing storytelling about these people. So, like Bishop Street is about 4 orphans that are raised in an orphanage together. And at 18, it puts them into a world they know nothing about. And then 20 years later, one of them goes in search of her 3 friends, her 3 best friends, and she finds them, and where she finds them and what they've been doing for those 20 years are just amazing. Who they are is just amazing, and how they became so different and where they ended up. And so that to me is reality. That would be like part of reality. I wrote another book called Done Deal, and that's about a woman who takes down, we have such a broken healthcare system. And this is about a woman who takes down the pharmaceuticals, the government, the insurance companies, because there are drugs out there that can save lives, but the insurance companies won't pay for them, so the pharmaceuticals won't make them. So she finds a way to take them down and leaves a legacy that's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you go through this with her. These are all like journeys. You go on these journeys, you know?
Yeah. So you mean to say like you write reality fiction, you know? So how
Yeah.
do you develop your characters, Renee?
How do I find them? How do I?
No, how do you develop your characters, you know, in your book?
I sit down and I start thinking about it's like splitting myself off into different directions.
I see.
And it's about part of reality, things that I've learned through life too. I just finished a book called Broken Image, and it's about 5 friends that live in Beverly Hills, and it's about peace, and it's about acceptance. And they have to be beautiful to be accepted and successful. So they go through the transformation with plastic surgery. It's a very interesting book.
What's the name of the book?
Broken Image.
Broken Image. Okay. So do you have your books to show to the audience, all your books? Just put it on.
Okay. So the first one I wrote that was with the publishing house is Searching for Mr. Right.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this one got me a lot of acclaim. This is my first fiction because of the book cover. It's called Street, and it's about the 4 orphans, and so you get that feeling in that book. These are like very emotional, very I can't tell you, they're emotional, they're happy, and you get to see the reality of life. Then the other one I wrote, this is the one about Sissy, about the medical field. I was in medical for 25 years.
Okay.
So a lot of this comes out of my being in medical.
I see. So, do you write on a schedule or it just comes to you? Like some authors, you know, it just comes to them, and for some authors, you know, they write on a schedule. You know, there are different kinds of authors. What are you? In which category do you come?
You know what? I love to write, so I have a writing room, and I come in here in the morning, and I kind of sit with my characters. I don't do an outline. I don't write notes down. I just sit. I sit with my characters and try to realize where they'll be, what they're doing, and try to put myself into their shoes. Even if there's 4 of them. Can you see me? No.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So even if there's 4 of them or 5 of them, I just wrote the sequel to Bishop Street because I got a whole fan base that was asking me what happened to the 2 main characters. They all wanted to know. So I got all these letters, and I can't tell them because I don't know. I sat down and wrote the sequel. I'm amazed what happened to these people in the past 4 years. So that's how I write. I write with feelings, with emotions. If you go on to Amazon and you look these books up, you'll see what the reviewers are saying and what the readers are saying. I write with a lot of dialogue. So I don't tell the story. I let my characters tell the story. And all the reviewers and all the people that read them say to themselves, I feel like I'm in the room. I feel like I'm always in the room with your characters. And that's because I dialogue.
I see. So what inspired you to become an author? What was the inspiration behind, like to become an author?
My son was in the movie industry a long time ago, about 12
Oh,
years ago.
wow.
I actually, lived in the Beverly Hills area and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, but my son was in the movie industry, and I went to him one day and I said, I have this great storyline, and he said to me, he handed me a legal pad of paper and a pen, and he goes, write
Mhm.
it down. I wrote
Mhm.
that book on
Mhm.
12 legal pads.
Mhm. So Renee, like any of your movies, like any of your books got any movie deal, or are you working on something like that? Are you?
I have, I have some interest. I also
Mhm.
write screenplays.
I
So
see. I see.
I have 3 screenplays that are out there. They haven't been
Uh-huh.
picked up, but they've been looked at. They're
Uh-huh.
action.
I
I
see.
I see when I got really stung by
Mhm.
that publisher, I just sat down and I loved writing so much. I just started writing,
I
and
see.
I didn't write to publish until I
Mhm.
ran into those 2 ladies.
I see.
I was
Very
just
lucky, yeah, to run into those two ladies who are helping you as mentors. It's very
yeah,
hard to find mentors,
yeah,
these days.
yeah.
Okay. What special skill a person should have to become an author?
What special skills?
Uh-huh.
I'm a people person. I
Mhm.
want people. I
Mhm.
tend to be very reclusive,
Mhm.
so I'm within myself. If I'm in a
Mhm.
room, I could be the life of the party, but if
Mhm.
I find that the party is more interesting than me being the focus, I'll
Mhm.
watch people, and that's where
Mhm.
I'll develop my characters.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
this wonderful. So, do you like to collaborate with other authors? And what qualities would you looking for to collaborate with authors in your writing projects?
I've never collaborated with anybody, but I have
Mhm.
mentored people.
Mhm.
I have 3 or 4 people that I've mentored where they've
Mhm.
come to me and they've asked me to read their
Mhm.
work and
Mhm.
tell them where they can change and what they need to do, and I do that. I find now that the past year or two, I'm more active myself in writing, but I haven't collaborated with anybody.
Mhm.
Um, I don't mind working with people, but I just kind of sit here and just do my own book.
So, what obstacles came in your way, and how did you overcome those?
Um, the obstacles that I had was the first book, signing with a smaller publishing house, and my book really made it big. I did like 35 book signings across the country. I mean, I
Mhm.
did like the Grove, I did Westside Pavilion, I did in Colorado. I did, and she was doing very well off my book, but she was
Mhm.
also publishing a lot of books that weren't. And
Mhm.
then she couldn't afford to pay me my royalties, and she
Mhm.
was bankrupt. And so that really hurt me because I thought, what did I do this for? I'm
Mhm.
not doing this again.
Mhm.
The industry is changing so much.
Mhm.
You you never used to be allowed to publish your own book, ever.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
had to be with a publishing house. Or,
Yes.
and there were some great writers that I knew
Mhm.
that never had a chance at it, never could get their writing out there
Mhm.
until the industry started changing, and
Mhm.
everything started going to ebooks,
Mhm.
and the bookstores started closing, Borders closed, Walden's closed, you know, Barnes and Noble is having a difficult time. And so it's really going to be eventually just ebooks. And so Kindle opened that chance for authors
Yes.
to publish their own. And that's what I did. I thought I don't want to be beholden to another publishing house again.
So what's the best thing for you being as an author? What's the best thing for you to for being you being an author? What is the best thing you feel about?
You know what? I love my book. I love my characters. I'm probably a little teeny part of every character in there. I mean, let's face it, authors write from experience. You find a lot of your seasoned authors or older authors have so much experience in a lifetime that, it tends to come out more in the book. I'm not saying that, there's not a lot of creative young people out there, because there are. It's just that I myself write from seeing and living in the world.
So what advice do you have for aspiring authors?
I think if you love to write, it doesn't matter whether you're published or not. If you love to write that story, and give your characters a voice. I think that's the most distinctive thing that I've heard personally about me, is that my style of writing and my voice is much more open than a lot of different other authors, and it just is my style. Create your own style. Create your own style. Everybody has a different style of writing, and everybody has a different voice. I don't want to be like the next person. I want to be my own self.
So
that's what
yes, please go ahead.
So that's what I would say to the young authors out there. Create your own voice. Take that story and make it strong and better.
So some people, they get very disheartened by the rejection letters, they get, So for you, what advice do you have for those authors, who get rejection letters?
I see it. I lived with it for years until I was finally picked up. And then I realized that it really didn't matter. I understand there's authors like Stephen King, there's authors like Patterson. They wrote 5 or 6 books. Most of your really well-known authors wrote 5 or 6 books before one of them really made it, and it gave them that platform for their other books. And that's how it's popular. And so just keep doing it. Pretty soon there's not going to be a publishing house out there. You're not going to have your agents or your publishers, because it's all going to be ebooks. Yeah. You can do it yourself. You can do it yourself with ebooks. And that's not to say either that there's a lot of books out there that shouldn't be out there. I think my one biggest advice that I learned personally was, if you're going to put a book out there, make sure it's pretty polished. Make sure it's edited finely, because your readers are who you want to entertain. And a lot of your readers, they don't want mistakes. I learned that the first time. I put Bishop Street out there, and I had a reader write me a letter saying, I found some errors, here they are. I was like in shock. But then I pulled my book off, and I got a good editor, and I put it back on, and that's what made all the difference. Another thing I would say too, find your group of people, make your own team up, If you have someone who knows how to make book covers, hold on to that person. If you have someone that is a good editor or line editor, hold on to that person. If you have, and treat them good. And if you have somebody who, you want a team around you that can help you get that book out. I'm not good with formatting, so I have this amazing young woman who does all my formatting. So when you have those kind of skills around you, it only makes you look better.
So
Anyway,
thank you so much, Renee, for your valuable time. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you so much,
you're well.
Renee.
I
And
had to.
I'm delighted to meet you, as such a wonderful author. It's my honor to meet you. I mean, you are such a wonderful and beautiful author. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Renee.
thanks. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.